All right. Hey guys, welcome to the After Sonic Forces video.
You're so boring.
What?
Give us some energy!
I'm not like you guys. I'm
Give
like,
us some energy! Welcome back to Zerbraxi! Where we...
all right. Am I doing that?
Well, give it a go!
All right, fine.
Give it a go!
Welcome back to Jerry Rig.
Yeah!
I just got hit in the back.
Yeah!
So this is the After Sonic Forces video. It's a pretty terrible game.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
So what we're going to do after every game we play is do a quick one of these where we just chat, give honest thoughts about the game, whether it's good, bad, indifferent, discussion points about it, what we thought, how we felt, etc., what it was like doing it for the channel, kind of the whatever, like that's kind of the whole encompassing piece of it. And this way you kind of get our
TLDR.
Well, probably maybe not TLDR, but
compared to watching all the episodes,
our more honest thoughts, because obviously when we're doing the episodes for the show, we're trying to put more energy behind it. We might be exaggerating things, just slightly being a little more dramatic for the sake of entertainment.
Exaggerate.
Well,
that's probably true.
Hopefully you've watched the entire series. If not, and you've I was going to say, if you've just come to this video to determine if you want to play Sonic Forces, don't. Or save $15. Buy a double whopper from Burger King or something.
Yeah, there we go.
Do not buy Sonic Forces.
Listen to him.
I don't know if that's any better, to be honest.
I mean, get chubby. It's fine, but
well, I guess they both give you the shits.
I guess the double whopper will at least get you through another day.
Actually, well, you know what?
It might not be a good day.
The last boss battle, I actually lost probably like 700 calories. So
that's probably So Sonic Forces.
Yeah.
Sonic Forces. Let's also keep this in mind. This came out the same year
as Sonic Mania.
As Mania.
Yeah.
So we've had this happen before. So Sonic has had a really real hit or miss life, essentially. And the last decade has been pretty horrible. And we had one section of games where we had Colors, Unleashed, and then Generations. And it was like Colors was fantastic. Unleashed, really, really mediocre, more towards bad, and then Generations. But we had two really good ones pretty close to each other, and people were like, oh, this is the opportunity. And then we just went down this path of horrible games again, to finally get back to Mania.
I think the last decent Sonic game, and people could probably argue this, is Lost World. Lost World's not great, but it's also not that bad.
Yeah, if I'm going to be honest, my feelings on Lost World are it's a very big
I think
it's forgettable, but it's not.
I think the issue comes to the fact that Sonic Team keeps on wanting to do this whole 3D aspect. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Sonic Adventure was great. Sonic Adventure 2 was fantastic. And they can do it right, but I think the problem is that they want to muddle the games with so many different types of dynamics and different things that Sonic can do, or in this case, your avatar in this game can do, and it's cool. There's some of the Wispin weapons in the game. If you didn't watch the series, your avatar gets this weapon and it can actually do stuff like a flamethrower, shoot, these void boxes, whatever you want to call it. But it's cool in theory, but it doesn't fit in a Sonic game. A Sonic game is, okay, you're on the left side of the stage, go to the right side of the stage as fast as you possibly can. Or in the case of Sonic Adventure, I think most fun funnest time that I had in Sonic Adventure was running away from the killer whale into the first level, because it's just so cool. You're just running as fast as you can. I remember bringing people up and saying, hey, watch me fight this final form of this boss. No spoilers if you've never played Sonic Adventure, but you should. And it was awesome because it's you feel like it's an actual honest to good Sonic game, and then
whoa.
But yeah, and I think in Sonic Forces, to give it some credit, some of the 2D side-scrolling levels where you're playing as classic Sonic, they're not that bad.
That's in comparison to the rest of the game.
Correct.
Well, no, I mean, to give it credit, during the episode where we were playing the casino level, that's an actual good level.
It's really short, but that was an actual stellar level.
Yeah, that 2D Sonic casino level is actually good. And the Egg Dragoon boss fight, I think, is actually good.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember, there was another 2D Sonic game, or Sonic level, that we were playing, but it's actually good. Like there are moments, and I'm not even trying to say this just biased to the 2D Sonic levels, because if I was to go to say Generations, the 3D City Escape is better than the 2D City Escape in that example, and I also think that the 3D, I think most of the 3D levels in Generations are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Especially the I can't remember the name of the episode, but it's a Sonic 06 map.
Yeah.
Something city or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's actually fantastic. So I have no bias between 2D or 3D Sonic. What I really feel, you kind of pinned it a little bit. They have a lot they're trying to do in these games, and I think one of the problems actually with the newer Sonic games, especially the 3D ones like Forces, is they're trying to do so much, and they don't do any of them well enough. Like in Sonic Forces, for example, we have things from Lost World. We with some of the level design, the twisted, turvy level design. We have the Wispins from Sonic Colors. We have the 2D, 3D meld from Sonic Generations. We have the Avatar, which has its own weapons, like you were talking about, and its grapple mechanic, and the way it handles and interacts with the worlds differently. On top of that, there is so much happening in this game, and they never do any of them well enough to warrant adding to it. This isn't like The Witcher 3. I'm using this as an example. I know I'm making a pretty raw comparison comparing Sonic Forces to Witcher 3, but here's my point. It's not like The Witcher 3 where you can be like, hey, let's add in Gwent because we've done all this other stuff well.
Right.
Here's a new thing we can add in. Obviously, I'm not trying to compare Forces to Witcher 3, but like they were able to add in more mechanics and add in new abilities to the seals because everything else was already done well enough, and they were like, okay, now let's add to that.
It also doesn't help that this whole game just feels like a mega clusterfuck. Like the incompetence of all the gameplay mechanics, coupled with the incompetence of what you could call a story, and the conclusion, if you want to call it that. Like, nothing went past a thought other than a footnote on a post-it note, and they said, good, put that in the game. And then the thought never became expounded upon past that.
Well, I think the big thing, too, is that, you're throwing all this stuff into the game, and then on top of it, there's a lot of... So, it was funny, because after that last fight, I wanted to, just, run outside, scream, and, whatever. But I'm over here playing, the first level, and the first level brings me back to Sonic Adventure, where I'm like, all right, you're just running as fast as you possibly can. And then I'm like, all right, well, let's play a few more secret levels just to, we were trying to get
Kill
stuff
time.
set up, It's frustrating because, you have unavoidable deaths, I think, in some cases, or the mechanics, they just are so, when you fight Infinite, when you fight this main boss, there is a mechanic where if you get hit by one of his attacks, the entire screen begins to glitch out. It's cool in theory because it gives this guy he's got special powers, but the problem that you run into is it makes it so you cannot even play the game because you get hit by something that he's thrown at you as well while you're still in that glitch state where you ultimately just die.
And unfortunately, that Infinite thing, sorry not to interrupt, but the Infinite thing that you mentioned actually gets worse every time you fight him. The first time, unfortunately, you weren't there for the episode, but the first time you fight Infinite, you get hit, and we noticed that. We had said, oh, it glitches you out, and you get an extra thing on the path, on this Lost World kind of corkscrew level you're on, and the red thing appears, and you can't get hit by it. And it's so minor, you're like, oh, okay. And it wasn't that inconvenient, it wasn't that intrusive, but it was like, oh, okay, neato. The second time you fought Infinite was when you fought him, and there's so much noise in that room, and for some reason they want to theme everything red with Infinite. So there's red on red on red on red, and God forbid you even have an ounce of color blindness because you will not be able to see anything. Well, even with totally fine eyes, I have some color blindness in greens, nothing with red, and you can't see the mechanics half the time. So you get hit, you glitch out, which is cool. We mentioned in one of the episodes, it's a cool idea that you getting hit adds another layer than just, I need invincibility frames for a second. I think that's cool, but you get these weird laser mechanics now that are spinning, the last fight on the big long runway. You get the red laser mechanic, and you can't see them as they're coming through the floor unless you know the pattern already.
Right.
But if you're somebody who's in it and maybe not even the best at this pattern recognition, even if you are good at pattern recognition, the red on the red just it's gonna miss your eyes, and it's not gonna jump out at you like a mechanic should.
There's a lot.
But that's Sonic Forces in a lot of ways.
Right.
There's a
really
lot,
cool idea, but
there's
man,
a lot of issues with Sonic Forces as far as like aesthetic choices, because I can't tell you how many levels either I thought it in my head or I said it out loud during the Let's Play saying, I can't find my character.
yes, it happens all the time. There's so much noise, and that last level that you played near the end of the game is the best example of that. Where I
couldn't even see where you were.
Me watching him couldn't follow the character.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much background noise and so many things in the foreground that are playing in effects. Plus the Wisped weapon that we happen to, the only one we really found to be valuable besides the flamethrower against the Death Egg robot.
Yeah.
The one where you like have the 5 little Wispens behind you and you can shoot them all out at once. That ability is great, but because there's now another 5 things behind you on top of all this noise, you actually lose the character. You would think the 5 of them would make it easier to locate you.
No.
It doesn't. It makes it harder to find where the heck you're going.
Because it's just something else that's randomly flying around your character.
And half the time, the game takes control away from you as a player and throws you around or does things.
Or throws you into a line of 9 dudes.
Yeah, and so then you're again moving, and you're not center of screen the whole time. So it's really strange.
I think I'll use this as an example because I own it. The weird spot that I think Sonic Team's in right now when we talk about the Sonic franchise in general is that they want to make it cool. They want to make it hip again. And I own Freedom Planet, which is the same guys that made Sonic Mania as far as I know. It's kind of like a Sonic game mixed with like a Mega Man kind of game. Where
it's a cool game.
It's a cool game, but you actually have mechanics that you can do in the game. Like the character can do a few different types of spin attacks and dash attacks, but she actually has a life bar. And that's what kind of game deserves that. You know, in the case of Sonic, 2 hits and you're dead. You know, if you don't have rings, or 1 hit if you don't have any rings, obviously. But I think the biggest thing that Sonic Team needs to take home is that look at how Sonic Colors did. I mean, here it is. It's one of the more newer games, I would say. But like they started going away from the 3D aspect of it and went towards the 2D aspect of it. If you're going to a 3D aspect of it, take a lot of your notes from Sonic Adventure as well as like the first level in Sonic Forces or Generations. Sonic's supposed to go quick, or you got to go fast. I was going to say it, but
you gotta move a little bit.
Gotta move somewhat quickly. But I think
get going.
God dang it. But I think
we're just gonna have slogans.
Go slightly faster than normal.
Go above 0%.
But I think that's the big thing though that they need to focus on is get away from less of the mechanics. Bring back, they bring back like Silver and they bring back Vector and Charmy and Espio.
They don't mean anything. They're literally just there
for fan service. And I think that's a big thing too is that like it's literally, I was joking around like the first few episodes, it's DeviantArt in the game. You make your own character in the franchise, but yet they could have done it a whole easier way. Okay, maybe have it where Sonic is not in the midst of the game anymore. You have to go save him from Eggman and Infinite or whatever. They could keep Infinite as an enemy.
And that would allow them to expand on the Avatar levels
right.
more. They would, because the Avatar levels are very clearly designed differently than Sonic, and I think in a good way. Or a good idea. Like, they can't be the same, because they don't play the same.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like, it's just kind of the mess of all of it.
It just needs to stop being a clusterfuck. It really does. Sonic Team really needs to stop trying what they think is right and just do what they know is right.
The thing is, they're going for... So one of the problems, really, is Mania, for example, knows, all right, we're not going to have any real gimmicks to our game beyond what Sonic already established in its 2D life. Fine. So what they're going to do is really focus on platforming. Yep. And the platforming feels really good, because the thing with Sonic is you're not going fast all the time. Right. You do stop and you have to go through puzzles or platforms in some manner, and if that part isn't fun, it feels really jarring. But Mania nails the platforming element, and that's all it does, is the platforming. So it's really good in that. It does it really, really, really well. When you have something like Forces, which is trying to be the crazy cinematic long runways, dodging things and boosting through things and attacking things with your Wispin, and then that cuts to a 2D heavy platforming, which then cuts to a more action-oriented area, which then jumps to a rail level where you're doing some more puzzle problem solving and whatever. And you're doing all of this on a level. If those things don't all work together, it gets frustrating really fast, especially if one of those things is the weak link. And what happens is kind of all of them are the weak linking forces, where you have the platforming is... So, because the game is so heavily built on 3D hardcore momentum, your momentum in the game goes from 0 to 100 at this really awkward exponential growth, and then it goes from 100 to 0 at a really awkward exponential growth. So there is a slight feeling of the momentum as you come down and slow down, but you go from like 0, you go from like 100 to 80 to 60 to 0. And so that it's hard to figure out that pattern, that growth. And so then when you have that, which works in Sonic Adventure, like City Escape or something, it works in those, or White Jungle, those work because it's just all about 3D movement forward fast. The second the game stops and makes you go to a 2D platforming section, 2D platforming needs to have steady momentum patterns.
So the big thing is that you got the momentum patterns, but like you have somewhat of like a okay accuracy while you're in the air. Like, but what's interesting about it is that once you get past right before you hit the top arc of your jump, you lose all momentum altogether. So then at that point in time, wherever you're landing, you just gotta hope that you're pretty decent at mathematics, because like if your parabola is messed up, you're not landing it.
It's true.
But let's say you do land it, all right, you have Luigi physics. Like, you hit the platform, and then it's like, all right, here's your platform. You hit here, and let me slide for another 5 feet or whatever. Or sometimes you hit right here, and the game decides to say, no, you're dead.
And it's not that the platforms necessarily require precise movement, but what happens is because that momentum in air is so off that when it requires precise movement coming down.
Yeah.
So, in a way, the game is forcing itself to work harder with this precise movement requirement coming down to not throw yourself left or right off the platform, but you keep that slippery momentum even though the game is requiring a precise moment. So it's really frustrating. Like when you're playing something like Super Meat Boy, for example, every movement in that is exactly the same no matter how you press it, no matter where you are, no matter what you're coming off of. The momentum is clear as day, and you can feel it. And same thing with the old 2D Sonic games. You can feel it. Or Sonic Adventure. The 3D movement forward in Sonic Adventure, and especially Adventure 2 and like Metal Harbor, for example, where you have a lot of 3D, 2D grinding mixes, the momentum is all the same, and the 2D platforming allows for a lot of failure and a lot of flaw because its momentum is not designed around 2D platforming. So when it makes you do it, it's very precise. Or it's why you have Knuckles and Rouge.
Yeah.
Knuckles and Rouge, their ability to like glide and reallocate themselves helps relieve the bad controls, really. Because Adventure and Adventure 2 especially have bad controls in a lot of manner. But they go around and find ways to compensate for those problems. Whereas Forces is so actively trying to throw so much at your face, they don't fix any of them. They just throw more.
And I would also like to point out, even though the controls are so unbelievably broken, let's not forget, we set this game on hard mode, and that game wasn't that... Difficulty-wise, the game wasn't hard. No. What made the game hard was the controls. Yeah. I can't tell you the last time I played a Sonic game that fucking easy.
No, it's true.
It is... I mean, it's ridiculously easy.
But then, go back and look through some of the deaths that like Randy had, and I was telling Randy's brother about this because he was watching the episodes.
I hold the record, 27 deaths. Come at me.
Yeah. But we were joking with his brother who was on our Spyro Let's Play, but he was watching one of our episodes, and he made the joke after I had pointed it out. I was like, well, you're going to watch this episode where Randy is going to land on a platform, and the character's just going to land and then shake and fall through. And it doesn't happen once. It happens a lot. Or some of the levels where you're on the rail, in general, whenever this game takes control away from you, we were joking about it in the series, but seriously, whenever this game takes control away from you and wants to show you a cinematic moment, it's scary. Because half the time, we've had it happen at least a dozen times, or a handful of times, where you'll just rail and then go behind like a pillar, and you suddenly somehow die behind that pillar, and you don't know what just happened. Because your character just decided to fall off. Or it throws you into a group of enemies, and you're not prepared because you're like, oh, this is a cool cinematic moment. Bam! And okay.
Or you're like 15 feet in front of a fucking beam of light. You fall down a well, land, go to run, and then all of a sudden die, but the light is nowhere near you, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
good.
yeah, it happens.
27 deaths.
It happens so frequently, though. It's so frustrating. That's the thing that's annoying.
Yeah, I think it's one of those cases where, like, if you're going to do the cinematic aspects of it, like, think about. I mean, we bring up Adventure a lot, but I think Adventure is a good base to think about how a 3D Sonic game should be, because you have the cinematic killer whale coming after you in the first level, and it's cinematic, but like you have so much of a buffer between you and the enemy, that like there is no worry of you dying to it. It's just
the tension's built because of the situation, not how difficult the situation.
Sonic's just running as fast as he can, and you're just going down on a control stick.
And you know, if you let go of down,
he's gonna hit you.
They did the same thing with the truck in City Escape.
In City Escape, right? But
so like it can feel tense. It's like an illusion of tension.
Right.
You can die if you.
Which works for Sonic, though. I think if you're going to go the 3D route, you're going to go cinematic.
Because they also know. I mean, think about it. When you're in that whale truck scenario, you can't see what's in front of you. So to expect you to try to do some tricky dicky jumping and platforming would be ridiculous.
Right.
Which Forces requires you to do. But in Adventure 2, they know. Look, that's not fun, but this is cool. So let's forfeit the challenge part and just focus on being cool for a second.
Which I much prefer.
And you can have, but you can have both of those. I think like Green and White Jungle are great examples of this, where you can have the platforming and the puzzle pieces where you're trying to find things to put them in places, while still then being able to run down the logs and vine around the trunks. Also, like really fun. You can have both of those.
I'll throw the example out there. Look at the Crash Bandicoot games. They have the levels where you're running away from the polar bear, you're running away from the boulder. The screen, like, yeah, it's not as fast as Sonic, and it'll never be, but think about design-wise, the game always pulls the screen out enough to where you can at least see the next one or two obstacles ahead of you, so you can plan for it.
And Force is a lot
to a point.
Yeah, well, Crash 1 is actually just
bad.
Kind of busted.
It's brutal.
It's kind of busted.
Yeah.
But the thing with Forces, though, ironically, forces you to actually go into situations that feel unfair
and expect them to
you to just nail it. And it's really frustrating. It is a lot of frustrating. Now, I do want to say, some of the things that Forces does has potential.
Right.
The Wispin idea
is interesting.
It's moved and it worked in colors, and I like the fact that they could have turned this into something where you have a little more like a weapon, essentially. Those moments actually can be fun. With that one Wispin that we had, we actually were joking, like, this is fun. This really is fun to go up to a bunch of enemies and just shoot them all up.
I think the big thing though too is that what they should do is that if they're gonna do that, where they're gonna introduce new mechanics in with new characters. In the case of the Avatar, they should do it like the adventure model, where like, okay, you have a fast level like with a classic Sonic. Like they started doing it here, and there were ones where like, okay, now you're regular Sonic. Like we would get so super stoked because we get to rent an avatar.
Yeah,
and then you're playing a Sonic. You're not playing as Dominic Avatar. Our boy. But it's fine if you're doing an Avatar level. Like the other thing too is that Sonic's supposed to be like literally the fastest out there. The only thing that's rivaling him is Shadow or Metal Sonic. But why is your Avatar as fast as Sonic? He's as fast as Sonic. He's got a cool like Mega Man Buster cannon.
Yeah.
And so why not just have him do literally everything?
This is where Adventure and Unleashed, you should be taking keynotes from them, where they have different levels for different characters and different style levels for different characters. Say all you want about, like, people hate the Knuckles and
I was just going to say that. I'm like,
But the thing is, so personally though, I like the mix-up of Knuckles and Rouge.
Sure.
I don't like the mix-up necessarily of Tails and Eggman, but I don't like them just because I don't think the levels are very interesting, and I think that Tails and Eggman levels are stupid because you just B, spin, shoot, and you wreck everything. But I appreciate the mix-up. I really do. Sonic used to do this a lot, actually, and so Sonic 3 and Knuckles does this really well. You're playing as Sonic every time, sure, but the levels themselves mix up the pace hard.
Right.
Really hard. So you can have, like, a snowboarding level where you're moving a lot through the ice caps, and then have, like, Angel Island where there's so much verticality, or have Sky Sanctuary where there's these really scary, precise platforming required. Like, you can have the level design mix up, but in this, they don't do that for the characters, and it feels really odd because the characters play differently. Now, because one of the things I do want to give mad props to Forces, as much as we were joking with it, the Avatar thing was a lot of fun. Like, getting the new items and creating the character and designing your character and throwing new gear on them and giving them new weapons and stuff, and getting other people seeing other people's avatars and then being able to rent them into your games.
Aspect.
That was actually a lot of fun.
But
then a lot of it was kind of cynic. I think a lot of it was really superfluous. But I mean,
but the thing is, I don't. This is the point. The truck in Adventure 2 and the whale in Adventure don't have to have a point. They can just be fun.
Right.
And sometimes that is enough to just be silly and fun. And the Avatar to me was that. Does it actually serve any purpose to the game? Absolutely not. But when your boy Manu shows up and he's there and you rent him like a child slave, it's good times. It's good times.
Why's he gotta be a child?
I don't know. I just imagined it looked like a kid. The little avatar looked like a kid. So.
He's just a bear. Manu's a bear.
A little bear. A little child bear.
Your mom's a bear.
You mean it?
Yeah.
Shucks.
I think ultimately, I mean, what Sonic Team just needs to do is they need to reevaluate what Sonic is.
Yes.
Yeah. Period.
But
they need to reevaluate.
Reevaluate Sonic. But like, yeah, if you're doing a 3D based game, like, okay, it's fine to change it up, but like, I think Sonic Adventure 2 is where they started doing it. Like, all right, now you get to play 6 different characters, and it's like, well, you know.
Well, to be fair, in Sonic Adventure 1, you played it as like 6 different characters.
But the difference between Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, though, is that Sonic Adventure 1, it just seemed like it. I mean, don't get me wrong, the plot of Sonic Adventure 1 is pretty awesome. But did you see my face? I was like, awesome. But I think it just meshes much better than Sonic Adventure 2.
The problem with 2 is just that you're playing a mirror on both sides.
Right.
So like you can play. So in Adventure you can just play Sonic, and be cool with that.
Right.
And then be done. Whereas in Adventure 2 you're forced to play the others.
The dark side.
And like you don't have a choice, especially if you want the real ending. Adventure I think has a similar thing, but it's. Either way, both of those games, they have the hiccups, but then again, what they do right, so it makes up for the bad.
When you're playing as Knuckles in Adventure, you're playing as Knuckles because, okay, now the Chaos Emeralds is now being, called into question.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's that, though. It's like, okay, if Sonic Team wants to make a decent Sonic game, I love Sonic. I've always loved Sonic. Knuckles is my boy. But, like, okay, don't try to recreate Sonic. If you're going to be doing the 3D aspect of it, all right, that's great. Embrace it, but make it where it feels like a Sonic game and not like a very frustrating platformer where you can die to anything.
Dude, literally just do what every other big franchise does. Build off the foundation you've already set. Why? I mean, it's like, I'm just going to bring up the big ones. Why do Mario and Zelda continue to sell? They build off the platform they've already built. Sonic built a platform and then decided they were going to build 13 sheds next to their platform, but never build onto the platform.
Right.
Yeah, they're going out instead of up. Like there's a good line. Iteration leads to innovation. They're trying so hard to innovate before they iterate, and they're never then getting anything right.
They're so
just adding
close with colors and generations. Just take.
They did a great job with those games.
Two.
They really are good.
And just do. Not what you did with this.
And the thing is, really, right, we can say this. The Sonic fans, let me rephrase this. Sonic is fantastic, and it's such a great concept, and it works so well when it works so well, that people keep trying the games despite its really bad history. Because when a game like Mania comes out, it was worth the wait. When a game like Generations comes out, it was worth the wait. So people still try to play through games like 06 and Forces and Unleashed and Boom and Lost World and these games that maybe are from subpar to really freaking inexcusably bad, because when it's good, it's so much fun. And they need to just take a step back and stop trying to add to it. There's a reason why people joke and say we want an Adventure 3. Because you can just take the Sonic and Shadow levels and just build on them. I think, like, seriously.
I mean, it's one of those cases where I just hope that Sonic Team can start to go the route that Capcom did with Mega Man.
Oh, and just go back to the Legacy Collection?
Go back to the Legacy Collection. Like, go back to, like, what the games were. Because, like, I mean, not even, it's not a Mega Man video, but it's like, same concept. I'm a Mega Man fan. I've been a Sonic and Mega Man fan since they came out. I bought a Genesis way back in the day, before these two were even alive, because I wanted to play Sonic.
That's impossible because Genesis came out after I was born, I think.
Well, he was born yet.
I was a babby boy.
Wee small child.
But but I bought it because Sonic goes fast. And that's the thing.
I bought it because of Alex Kidd.
What?
And Comic Zone.
Just okay, that's fine.
Comic Zone's great.
I was about to say Comic Zone's fantastic, actually. But yeah, that's ultimately it, though. It's like Sonic Forces. It's. I feel it's got potential, but they need to reevaluate where they want Sonic to go, and specifically when I say Sonic, I don't mean Sonic and Friends. I mean Sonic.
Because here's the thing, right? This whole we were just saying too about the whole like people are going to keep playing it, or people were going to keep trying it, or they're having potential. Mm-hmm. Eventually, that is going to wear out. It's going to run dry, and people aren't going to give it the same chance anymore. Right. Eventually, you are just going to dwindle, and people are going to. I mean, Sonic, the sales go down every time until a game like Mania comes out, and then Mania sales go up. But while Forces sold, it didn't sell well.
234,000 units.
That's not very good for Sonic.
That was in the first week, but still, I don't think it's that much higher than that.
But and you know what? The part of that is I'm willing to put money on because Mania was so good, and Mania came out first. Yeah. So if Mania comes out, it's really good. Then the next one is better chance. Yeah. But the thing is, that's not gonna last.
No.
Eventually, it's gonna die to the point where Mario felt this too when they were going through the new Super Mario Brothers games. Every game was new Super Mario Brothers, and it was boring and not creative at all. And they didn't even iterate on their game. They just did the same thing, but arguably worse for like 3 or 4 games straight until New Super Mario World came out. And it's like, oh, okay, something unique. Finally, not like fantastically great, but something unique. And finally, Odyssey, where they're able to really innovate and iterate off of what made 64 and Sunshine and Galaxy so well.
Randy hit it on the head, too. They're able to add stuff into the game, but still have the same base that makes Mario, and Odyssey.
Breath of the Wild works so well because it's Zelda through and through. Every aspect of that game is Zelda.
Except for the shit dungeon.
Right. Yes, the dungeons are horrible and inexcusably bad.
And a pretty, crappy end game, too.
Yes, fair enough. But like
but a pretty awesome, cool final boss.
No. Well, I mean, it's big.
Right.
Beast Ganon's big. Oh, sorry, Ganon's not the final villain. But
actually, technically, he's not. His title is different. I mean, this thing's title is different.
So
it's Hatred and Malice Incarnate, I believe, or something like that. Anyway, but the point is, it worked. Breath of the Wild can have a massive change because it's still Zelda through and through. That's the point.
So to wrap up the series, to wrap up Sonic Forces, final thoughts, Sonic Forces. What do you think?
I would say, as I'll be the Sonic fan in the group, and say, well, no, I'm just saying, like, coming from it, you spent what, $15 on it?
Plus tax.
Plus tax. Cool. For $15, it's not
tax.
Okay, I'll say this much. For $15, it's not a bad game. For full retail price, absolutely not. I think that it's got the replayability because once you start learning the mechanics of the levels, you're like, all right, I know where to jump now. I know what to do. I know what's going to happen. But
I know what BS is coming my way.
But I'll say this much. You'll probably get about a third of the way through it. You'll be frustrated. You will stop playing the game. So I think my final verdict on it is that you can get it really, really cheap. It might be a few hours of frustrating fun, but I definitely would pass over it.
I'm gonna give it the Shaq Fu syndrome. It's fun to own because it's bad. That's about it. Like, I agree with you. You can see it in the videos. Our tone goes from this is hilariously bad to about 2 hours in. This is frustrating. It's so I'm gonna go ahead and say I wouldn't recommend you ever buy this game. I recommend you convince your stupid friend who happens to host everything and set up the equipment to also spend $15 plus tax of his own money, so that way you can join him in a very hot room and sweat balls.
Good job.
That's what I would recommend you do, because that guy's dumb and he's an idiot.
No, you're not dumb.
Me? What do you mean me? I'm talking about that guy.
All right. Well, anyways, now.
But yeah, no, I wouldn't recommend buying it at all, unless someone you know has it. If someone you know has it, or if you find it on like a bargain bin for like
$1.
If you're going to GameStop and you buy 2 used games and get 1 free kind of deal, and the free game is Sonic Forces, then okay, it's pretty fun for about an hour, 2 hours, because you get to have a laugh about how dumb this is. But it's like Shaq Fu. If we were trying to do a full Let's Play of Shaq Fu, it just gets to a
shoot
point where
ourselves.
it's just not fun.
And you?
So, I think it is an inexcusable piece of dog shit that no one should ever buy, that Sonic Team should be ashamed of, and if I ever have to play this game again, I'm liable to move to Canada and never talk to any one of you again. Don't buy this fucking game.
So
I do want to put an asterisk on that, by the way. These two willingly played Sonic Forces for about a half hour after the fact while I was setting everything up. So,
well, okay.
Asterisk.
To iterate it. Well, actually, to iterate it, it was more so me, but he did actually play another level.
That's what I mean.
I played the level because you couldn't fucking beat it.
For fun. They played it. They
11.
played it again on their own will, just to kill time.
But I got an S ranking.
Oh, that's worth it. Actually,
you did an A.
No, on that one level I got an S.
That's
It's
worth
an
it.
inexcusable piece of garbage. Don't buy it.
But yeah, so that's that. So thank you for watching. Seriously, if you watched the whole series and you're here,
yeah,
thank you very much for watching.
We're
You know the YouTube deal. Do the thing, please. We all appreciate it.
We're hopefully going to figure out the next series soon. We're going to discuss amongst ourselves.
Yeah, we have some ideas. I think what would be fun is rotating the game idea. So I'm out of this one, if that's the case, because Sonic Forces was original my idea. I don't say that proudly. But, so we'll see what we play next, and I hope you enjoy. And if you've just watched this and you've just watched Sonic Forces, we also have a current Let's Play going through of Spyro the Dragon, which has been a lot more fun. I'll be honest. I look forward to recording Spyro every week. So
yeah, when it's like, let's do a video on...
You don't look forward to recording with us?
This was
I enjoy hanging out with you guys. I don't enjoy playing
This
Sonic
was shot
Forces.
on Monday. It's like, all right, cool, let's go over... Sonic Forces.
That's okay, Kyle, because now it's our turn to pick. Well, either me or you. I guess we'll decide.
Also, by the way, Kyle, you're the only one with an absence so far. So
if you have somebody, right, a friend who buys Sonic Forces for $15 plus tax, right? Just say that you have to work or something for a while. Don't come in, because I saw that video, and he's just like, yeah, he's totally not working. Spoilers. I was working, but tell your friends that you're working, and hope that you're working, because for $15 plus tax, I wouldn't buy it.
So you watched the original Infinite Slayer, huh?
Oh, shit.
I'll have you know, I killed him twice. Not once, but twice. And I killed the last fucking boss.
That was dumb. But anyway, thank you. Yes, thank you very much for watching. We really appreciate it. If you've played the game, honestly, let us know what you thought. Good or bad. We always like to hear as you can hear from our opinions of the game, we have a pretty big range of opinions on games. So we're curious to see what you hear.
Please say
also,
that
if you like it, seriously, if you actually enjoyed the game, I actually genuinely want to hear it, because I'm curious to see if
what we could do better,
or our cynicism could be. Yeah, how could we play better? But also, what our cynicism might be, kind of jaded by or whatever. Yep. So we're always curious. We don't pick. Well, okay, we might pick on you a little bit, but thank you very much. Thank you, Manu, for supporting us.
Yeah, Manu.
So, yes. But thank you very much for watching. We'll see you on the next one. We don't know what it is yet, but we've got some ideas. But watch Spyro the Dragon, and that's about goodbye! You're just gonna show them your ass?
Bye.